Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today, we're going to be taking a different route here because I see a lot of money management videos online and how to manage your money like the 1%. And what I notice about all of them, while the advice or tips and tricks and the steps are absolutely quality and are absolutely things you should follow, there is a challenge with a lot of them, and that it's not really geared towards gig workers or variable income. In this video, I'm going to make an attempt to help you manage your money better as a gig worker. We're going to take the same 7 steps and we're gonna add some tips and tricks to help you achieve this managing your money like the 1% and apply it to your life as a gig worker. Before we do that though, I do want to make a quick disclaimer. This is not financial advice. This is not business advice. This is not legal advice. It's not tax advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only, and it is advised that you conduct your own research and consult with qualified professionals before applying any of the information I'm going to give you here. Now, with that said, let's get started. Step 1 is track your expenses and budget. Achieving a sense of financial independence is not just about offense. It's about defense. If you make $1 million and spend $1 million, you are more broke than the guy who makes $50,000 and spends $40,000 because they profited $10,000 and the other guy is Tony Hsieh. Of course, we got to throw in the shots somewhere. This is going to be the most important part of the video and is vital for accomplishing the remaining steps of the video. So you should definitely watch and apply this step before trying to do any of the others. Now, what most people are going to try to tell you is that you need to track your income and your expenses over the next 60 days. Now, here's the problem with doing that as a gig worker. Our income and our expenses are not set at all. In fact, some months we could be doing exponentially amazing, and some we could be doing absolute garbage. Some days we can make $50, some days we can make over 300. Some weeks we can need to refill 5 times, and some weeks we don't need to refill at all. So there is an important point to be made there. What you're gonna wanna do as someone who's a gig worker is you're gonna wanna take the lowest month of income. Usually for most markets, it's January and August, but it's gonna be market dependent. And you're going to want to take the highest expense month. And that's going to be used as your baseline. Why? Because it's going to make every step of the process easier. It's going to be so much easier to save money because you're prepared for the absolute worst case scenario. Some people say use the average. I say just go for more savings. So that way you could build up the rest of the steps in this video. And also you're going to want to check your more recent spending. So that way you know if there's any expenses you need to cut. Maybe you're eating out a lot. Maybe you're going through the drive-thru because you're smelling somebody else's food and you didn't get any for yourself. Maybe you're the type of person that's hunting for orders and driving around hunting for orders instead of sitting someplace patiently and waiting for orders. And there's also other wasteful and spending habits, but you're going to want to identify them and break the habit so that way you can actually save more money in the long term. This step should save you about 10% of your income with tracking properly and reducing unnecessary spending. And you're gonna need to hold on to these numbers for the next step. Let's talk about step 2, which is creating an emergency fund. An emergency fund is a savings account which has enough money to cover about 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. I would personally lean towards the 6 month because for gig workers, an emergency for us is we need a new rent a vehicle, we need to get a big repair done on our car, or maybe it's time for a new car, or a new phone, or whatever. And that's a big expense, so you're gonna wanna definitely look into it. Now, in case you might have not heard me, I said this was an emergency fund. This isn't a, in case I don't have enough money to treat myself fund. This is not a, I really want that new thing, that new PS5 or new purse online and I can't not have it. I'll die if I don't have it. No, this is your if It's the fan. I need to be able to help myself. Now, here's another thing this account doesn't account for, and that is saving money for tax season. Nobody likes saving money for tax season. As a gig worker, you're not paying any W-2 income, you're paying 1099 income, which means the taxes aren't taken out of your pay at all yet. You should be paying your taxes quarterly, but some people just want to make one big payment at the end of the year, and that's their decision. And if you end up overpaying, they'll send you the money back just like it would be a W-2. But how much should you be putting away of your weekly income? The rule of thumb is typically 30 to 40% of your income. This should be enough in case you have a really good week or really bad week. And if you are ever running behind and you're like over saving, there's nothing wrong with over saving. You also want to consider having a third savings account for larger purchases you know you're going to need later. So that way you might not need to tap into your 6-month fund yet. This is, you know, you need a new car. You know, you need a new phone. You know you need to make a larger investment into your business or side hustle, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. This is going to take a lot of time to build, but it's so worth it to have just the peace of mind that in the event of an emergency or the absolute need for a large purchase, this account will be available to you. Now, step 3 is going to be a little hard to understand for some people and why it's included in this particular breakdown, but hear me out on this. Step 3 is employer-sponsored matching. This step is intended for people who work full-time for a company and has a 401k matching available to them. You always want to take this opportunity. It's basically free money that is getting put into a long-term savings account for you. Usually, let's say 3% of your income is actually going into a 401k, and they will match 3% of your income. So that means if you're putting in $1,000 every year, because that's how much 3% is for you, or whatever it looks like, the employer will put 3% into the account. As a 401k is an account where you can invest a percentage of your pre-tax income and let it grow over decades. I do want to say that a traditional 401k is recommended over a Roth 401k. Well, how does this apply to gig workers if we're working for ourselves, right? Well, if you're a full-time employee and a part-time gig worker, this is easy. You could just do this. However, if you are a full-time gig worker and you're not employed by anybody, what you can do is you can open a self-employed 401k, and you could do that match yourself. But doesn't that take away from the point? Not necessarily. What this is going to do is actually it's going to reduce your taxable income at the end of each year. Again, you put in 1,000 and then you matched it 1,000. That reduces 1,000 from your taxable income because that business contribution is a write-off. Step 4, pay off all high interest debt. If you have any outstanding debt over 5%, that's bad debt. If you have any debt that is not making you any money in a way, let's say it's a mortgage and you're renting out the home, or have a personal loan towards a business that's making you more money than the loan is worth, that's bad debt. You need to start paying that off after you've gotten your budget right and you're starting to contribute to that 401k. There are 2 strategies people use to accomplish this. There is the Avalanche Method, where you pay off the highest interest rate first, and then you go on to the next one, next one, next one. This method is going to ensure that you actually end up holding on to the most money. You're killing off the debt that's costing you the most money first. Then there is the SnowBall Method, or the Dave Ramsey approach, where you're paying off the smallest balance first and it'll free up cash flow. So you're not making multiple minimum payments, you're making less minimum payments over time. You're freeing up cash flow that way. As you pay off smaller debts, there's a psychological boost that comes with that. Like, hey, I'm actually getting somewhere. And you know what? Some people need that to stay on. Like, some people need the feeling like, hey, I'm getting stuff done. It may not be as quickly as I want it to, but I'm getting it done. And some people need that. You do what you think is right for you. Is there such a thing as good debt? Yes. Good debt is a business loan or a mortgage of some kind that is less than 5% yield, that is making you more money over time. For gig workers, this could mean you have a low interest car loan that you didn't get screwed over by the car salesman for. You got a low interest loan and you're using that vehicle to actually make more money. That's possible. I would actually want to pay that off because your car is going to be depreciating over time, but that's a choice you got to make for yourself. Maybe you have a home that you're renting out and you're making more money from that home than the loan is costing. Now, what a lot of wealthy people like to do is they like to actually just keep paying the minimum payments and then use that cash flow to invest into other things that have even more return than what those minimum payments are actually giving them. If you're more comfortable just paying off the debt, I understand. Having a lot of debt over your head is a scary thing, especially if you've already been burned by debt before. Maybe it was a credit card scam or it was a business that didn't quite work out for you. It could be a lot of things. It is something you're going to want to consider. If you're more comfortable just killing the debt, I totally get it. Step 5 is the ever so cliche, invest in your self-education or business. You need to invest into books, learning new skills, starting a new business, or reinvesting into your business. Self-education that is absolutely vital in order for you to grow in this, crazy world we live in. This is also revealing a hard truth of life. Sometimes really the only answer is to find another way to make more money. Some people have literally done everything to cut back. They've tracked their expenses, got their 401k, and because they're not making enough in a course of a month, really the only answer is make more money. There are 2 ways gig workers can really capitalize on that. Diversifying your gig portfolio or making the most out of your active income, which is again, part of the business. So let's say you're on DoorDash and now it's time to get started with Uber Eats and Grubhub and Instacart and Shipt, whatever. But the challenge is with this is that eventually you're going to hit a wall with multi-apping as well. Then you're going to need to start the second option, which is starting a side business that'll eventually become your main business. Like I said in this channel multiple times, gig work is a great income bridge to what would be a long-term goal, but it's not the goal. It could be digital or it could be brick and mortar, whatever that looks like. If it's digital, it could be a YouTube channel. It could be blogging, podcasting, streaming, print on demand, drop shipping, flipping product, whatever. If it's a brick and mortar business, maybe it could be a lot of things. Maybe you're starting a restaurant, maybe a laundromat, vending machine business. And these are all things I've been looking into, by the way. I'm not just throwing things out of my ass. You can start almost any type of side hustle. Just make sure that you're actually going to be profitable from said side hustle. It is also very important that you know what this looks like for you. Like, some people come into the gig economy just looking for money. And I understand that. Like, it is good money, but it's not stable enough. The companies themselves don't have the integrity and character, and gig workers are very easily replaceable, which is why it is absolutely vital for you to start a side business sooner rather than later, especially with the upcoming economic challenges that everyone's eventually going to feel in the future. Step 6 is something I think every finance channel has talked about at least once, and that is investing into a Roth IRA. This is an account that allows you to invest post-tax money, and it will grow tax-free because it's already post-tax money. You will have access to the account by age 59 and a half. Now, I'm going to go deeper into Roth IRAs in another video. Step 7 is where a lot of people tend to skip to because they didn't hear 1 through 6, they just hear 7. And that is invest in taxable accounts. They want to hop on to Robinhood or Public or some of these free tax apps, maybe even something like Acorns or whatever. This step is now about creating passive income and increasing your income further. Now it's time to invest into taxable accounts, such as real estate, such as stocks, such as crypto, things of that nature that is going to make you even more money in the long term. After you get set up with 1 through 6, you're going to want to hard focus on step 7. Here's some truth about all of these steps. This can seem very daunting, and overwhelming, especially when you're starting from in debt or you're still trying to pay off the bills because you live in New York, you work 3 jobs, and you still can't do it. I get it. And I understand. The best thing I can tell you is just simply take it one step at a time. This list may take months, and you might need to double back to this list a lot. This isn't a race, it's a marathon. This isn't something you can apply overnight, although you can absolutely start tracking your budget and expenses now. In order to accomplish everything, it's going to take time, and you are going to love the results once you get there. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.